Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is part 3/video 3 of my travel series. I've now made a playlist so you can watch all of them. There's going to be quite a few more. Travel advice, travel info, all of that stuff that I've kind of been learning along the years. And I'm going to make a series about it, a series of it. We're going to be talking about what apps I have on my phone in regards to travel apps. I'm going to keep this quick and concise because I like to keep my videos bite-sized and consumable as possible. But first of all, I'm going to put my Instagram here, so go follow me on that. That's where I'm most active, and you can see my travel posts and a lot of travel related content on there. So I'm going to run through the apps I have on my phone for when I travel, and these apps are just on my phone anyway. They're in a little travel folder there, like have a look. So the first one I would say is Trainline. They have this great feature where you make selection, you look for a train where you can find the split fares, so it will find the cheapest combinations of tickets. Instead of buying one outright ticket, it will work out how you can save money, which I love. It's always got the live updates. It's smooth. I love it. I book all my trains through Trainline. Good as well because it works in Europe as well. So when I was in Europe, to buy the odd train ticket or something like that, for example buying a train ticket from Amsterdam airport to Amsterdam Centre, I just booked it on my phone and things like that. Everything I mentioned in all my videos and all the apps, all the tips and tricks and yada yada yada, all of that, they are all tried and tested things that I use and I'm very much in love with. Basically, I wouldn't recommend them if I didn't like them, if I didn't enjoy them. I'm only going to recommend things that I think are useful to you. So yeah, Trainline is definitely something to have for booking trains. Next up we have Skyscanner. I have the Skyscanner app. I mentioned in the first video where we talked about cheap flights, Skyscanner is my go-to for flights. I have the app just so I can watch prices on my phone and have quick searches of cheap flights and all of that. Skyscanner is great. So everything I mentioned in the first video, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. I'll link it above. Everything I love about Skyscanner in an app, and it's just great for on the go. That's the app I always have, and that's where all my flights get booked through. So with Skyscanner in mind, I always try and have the airline app. Say if I book on Skyscanner and I book a flight with British Airways, I will download the app for British Airways because it will have all my booking information, etc, etc on. Currently I have BA on my phone because I'm still hoping that I'm able to go to New York in November, which is looking highly unlikely the closer we get to it. But yeah, depending on what airline I'm flying with, I always have the app just so I can track my booking, manage my booking, see the status of the flight and all of that. And I just find it really easy to have all the information on my phone because everyone's using their phones. Okay, we're going to move on to accommodation. The accommodation apps that I have on my phone are Booking.com, Airbnb, Hostelworld, and they're the three accommodation options I mentioned in my cheap travel guide. They're the ones I always go with, those three. Airbnb for apartments or anything, Booking.com for hotels, Hostelworld for hostels, and they are staple. They're always on my phone. I just find having apps is so much easier, so you can just like quickly check prices, you can manage your booking on your phone. It's just convenient, especially when you have loyalty programs or reward programs. I find that having these apps is so much more beneficial because you can create your account and keep it logged in, and it's just easier to have all your travel resources and access to all your bookings, etc, all on an app, and just make it quick and easy for you. Okay, so for transport related apps, I have Uber and I have Citymapper. Citymapper is great, honestly. I use Citymapper in Singapore, worked a treat. I use it in London, works a treat. Where else did I use it? Prague, Vienna. I used it a lot in Vienna. It's so convenient and it's so easy to navigate with it. It just follows you along, so it will tell you to when to exit at a certain station, when to get on at the station, when to change lines, when to get out the station, and you're at your destination. It will plan your whole trip, find the cheapest option, so it will give you like walking, driving, Uber, city, taxis, or like whatever, like all your choices of transportation in one app, but then it will navigate you as well, which I find super helpful. So Citymapper and Uber are two that I really recommend having. Uber can fluctuate. Most places, most countries have Uber anyway, so Uber is a good app to have. But tip for Southeast Asia, have the app Grab. Grab is their equivalent of Uber. I'm going to do a separate video around Southeast Asia tips and tricks and hacks and all of that stuff, so I won't mention it again, but their equivalent to Uber is Grab, and Grab is so goddamn cheap. The next two are apps I use for attractions and activities. So I've got Get Your Guide, and I also have TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor basically comes into handy when you're looking at reviews, recommendations, maps, what people have said about certain things, certain restaurants and all of that. And I find TripAdvisor really good because basically everywhere has been reviewed. And then Get Your Guide TripAdvisor is good for activities as well, but I never really book activities. I kind of only use TripAdvisor for the review section of my process of like selecting somewhere to stay or selecting somewhere to eat. Get Your Guide is something I used quite a lot when I was in Europe last year on my solo backpacking trip. Just great for finding like activities or excursions or day passes and things like that, and most of the time they tend to be a lot cheaper than buying the attraction prices from elsewhere, like big budget corporation companies. Sometimes you get really like nice local experiences on there as well, so Get Your Guide is something that I really enjoy using. I used it actually to book my Bali daily excursions with my family for like a minivan hire and a guide, so yeah, that is really good. So those two are definitely something that I use quite a lot, so I recommend. I'm gonna move on to WhatsApp. WhatsApp is something I use anyway. I use at home, day-to-day life. WhatsApp comes in handy quite a lot when you're away. I found that I needed it in Southeast Asia quite a lot because a lot of countries my phone service works in, but obviously it costs a text and stuff, and WhatsApp is free, so you can talk to local people on their local numbers and stuff like that, and just it makes communicating and messaging like local people for excursions, attractions, minibus hire, taxis, etc, a lot easier. Something that I've recently been using, I used on my Southeast Asia trip, but I've bought a proper package for, is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN. It's basically like this protection thing where you use it so you can, when you're abroad, if you want to access something in a different country, you know, when you get the error saying sorry, this isn't available in your location, yada yada yada. For example, if you're in America and want to access something in the UK, you turn a VPN on and set your location to the UK, and you can access stuff that's in the UK, which is great. But then I think the thing that I use it mostly for at home right now is Netflix, so I turn it on and set my location to New York or like LA or anywhere in America, because American Netflix has a lot more, so you can use it for that kind of stuff. But it's also very good for protecting your data and stuff. So for example, if you're in a coffee shop or like a restaurant, like a remote in like, I don't know, Europe somewhere, or in India or Australia or America, New Zealand, South America, anywhere, and you're in a big place like a shopping centre or a cafe where the internet is public, anyone can access your data and like your information. I find that having a VPN is really good because it can secure your data and stop people from like peering in. Surfshark is very good, and they do really good deals. I think I paid £35 for 2 years worth of Surfshark membership, and yeah, it comes into handy and you can use it a lot when you're abroad. So finally, I'm going to be rounding off with a couple of things that I think that people should know. Google Maps. I was hesitant to use Google Maps because I was like, Apple Maps is fine, like, I can use the ones I have on my phone, it's fine. Google Maps are honestly great. I can tell you this because in Southeast Asia this is all I used. Google Maps is great because you can download maps, cities you're in, i.e. New York. I did this earlier this year in hopes of going to New York. So I downloaded New York, I'll show you on screen. I pinched New York, selected that portion and downloaded New York as a map, as an offline map, so I could access it if I didn't have data or internet, yada yada yada. And on Google Maps, what you can do is you can favourite locations, you can star locations and all of that. So I've been doing that and messing around with that for my New York trip, and selecting places and highlighting places that I want to visit. So I think it's really good to have because then you don't have to use your data and all that stuff. Google Maps has a feature where obviously if you're offline, you can still, if you've downloaded a map, you can still track your journey. So the best example of this would be when I was in Bangkok. When I arrived, I had to get a taxi from the airport to my hostel. However, I didn't know where that was because I didn't have data in Thailand. Luckily downloaded the map, so I put in airport to hostel in Google Maps offline, and because I'd already downloaded the map, it showed me how to get there. So when I was in the taxi, I was just following it along, making sure the driver's going in the right direction. So I guess it's a safety thing as well, and I think that is a really good reason to have it. So another Google app we have that I recommend is Google Translate. I genuinely think this is something that you need to have if you're going to a foreign country. It's just an easy thing to put onto your phone. It just makes communication a lot easier. I think I use it a lot to try and speak in a different language or try and pick up a lot of local phrases. I found that a lot of local people will use it, will help you if you're struggling. They'll just type it out on your phone for you and then show you the translation. So that's great for the other way around as well. A currency conversion app is something that is very, 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 very useful. I find that having a currency conversion app is great because you can see the live exchange rate. I found that these come in handy, especially when you're in a taxi or you are trying to get money out of an ATM and the ATM has got a fee. You work it out and see if it's worth it. And I just find it so useful because you can work out your tracking, your spending, all of that stuff, and it just keeps you on top of your money and keeps you on track, I guess. And finally, these are two like internal phone things. Make sure your phone is unlocked, because obviously if you're in a different country you need to put a new SIM in. If your phone is locked, then it'll be hard because you won't be able to access another SIM. So always make sure your phone is unlocked. You can get these done, I'm pretty sure, anywhere. But most phones do come unlocked now, I believe, unless you're buying through like a contract through a company. But I think you can access your server and be like, hey, can you unlock my phone for me? Yeah. But you can find your logistics and find all that out by yourself. But I bought my phone outright, so it was unlocked anyway. So yeah, unlock your phone is number one. Number two, try and go and have a plan where you can use data roaming. I'm quite lucky, I'm with 3. On 3, I can use my data anywhere in the world. I've been able to use it in Bali, in America, in Europe, anywhere to be honest, apart from certain places like Cambodia and Thailand. There's like a certain few places that you can't use it in, but try and get a plan with data roaming. It might cost a little bit extra, but if you're traveling quite a lot, I genuinely think it's worth it. Yeah, moving on from that, we've got local SIM. Local SIMs are really good to have if you haven't got data roaming. I found that in places like Thailand, like I said, I had data everywhere else in Southeast Asia. I didn't have data in Thailand and Cambodia, so I had to buy a SIM for Thailand. Access to internet is pretty much everywhere, but Thailand, I was there for like 3 weeks, so I needed to buy a SIM, and SIMs are pretty cheap. Just never buy them in the airport. Just suck it up and have to like pay a bit extra for a taxi, or find internet somewhere and book a taxi, all that stuff, but don't buy SIMs in the airport, because they're probably 3, 4, 5 times the price of what the price of it actually is. I think the SIM I got for Thailand for 3 weeks with unlimited data, I believe, or 100 GB or unlimited data was like £15, and at the airport it was like 30 to 45. It was quite expensive, but yeah, that's a tip for you. And yeah, local SIMs are really good because you can keep in contact with everyone. You can use your apps, you can use your Google Maps. So yeah, going back to that, always make sure your phone is unlocked, otherwise you will not be able to do that. So yeah, that is all my travel apps that I have on my phone for when I go traveling. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. I'm speaking fast because my battery is literally flashing. My Instagram and my other social media are linked down below. I'm going to link some of these apps and other things below if I mention anything that needs a link, and I'll link playlists and all of that yada stuff. And my Instagram, go follow my Instagram. I shall see you guys in my next video, which will be on Thursday. Remember, Mondays and Thursdays, and next Monday will be another travel video. Mondays are gonna be travel related content, and I've got quite a lot coming, so stay tuned. But yeah, till then, take care, stay safe, download these apps if you love traveling. I shall see you very soon. Bye. I'm very sorry I had to rush that ending because my battery is genuinely about to... is gonna go.